Hello, poetry lovers and vinyl enthusiasts. This is another edition of Vinyl and Poetry. Actually, that's what I thought about calling my channel. I never did. But I got the wonderful BarakaPDub in person, Paul from Houston, in Houston, Texas, not from. Hi, Paul.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Fantastic.
I've been looking forward to this a lot.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful to have that face-to-face connection for the first time. So yeah, we don't do things in real time, so you have this kind of vision of people built up in your heads, and then when you finally meet them, seeing them on video, it just makes you more comfortable. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and do this one.
Oh, good. Yeah, you finally become let down of the reality of.
I wouldn't say that.
You meet the celebrities, and they're, yeah. Anyway, what we're going to do here, we're going to each show 10 new records we bought. So it's a very simple one. It's kind of like the new vinyl finds, I guess, new releases. In my case, they're all new records, although several of them are issues that have been out for a while, but they're not old, sweaty, danky, mildewed records that you find in bins that give you a headache when you open them up. So I do want to say one thing about Paul. I got turned on to Paul accidentally by seeing his videos that are a little more technical, that he's an audiophile to some extent. He may talk about that. You should talk about that. But he has great videos, and I have a link down to your channel. I'm sure most of my viewers know Paul's work. But he's done things on the technical side and how to upgrade your turntable. He's a Riga. I think you're still a Riga person, are you?
Yeah, I'm still a Riga guy.
Yeah, we both have Riga turntables. I've gone through it, not as much as him, but there's great videos he's done on that. Great videos on mastering engineers like Bernie Grunman and audiophile releases like Music Matter Jazz and AP, I guess, Analog Productions, and some great videos. And I think I really got into his video that he did on music, sort of a response about MMJ. I think Ken
McAuliffe.
Yeah, your response. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy.
Yeah. It was, but you do it in a nice way. It's not attacking. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit. But so watch his channel. It's great information beyond his showcase things. So 10 records. We'll go back and forth and.
All right.
Go at it. Get at it. You're first.
All right. So the first one I have to show is actually a repress. And this is Stopover, and you got to forgive me, I got to look at the name, Hideto Sasaki. And so this is put out by Barely Breaking Even. And I want to say it's a UK-based label, and they're doing basically represses of Japanese jazz. So this is a 2 LP, 45 RPM set. Most of what they put out is basically hard bop and bop records, and this is a hard bop one. And so it has one original on it. This was kind of a one and done album, and the original press, I think there were only 100 of these pressed, and there's one on Discogs right now that's going for over $1,000. Wow. So yeah, and they put out like 1 or 2 records a year, and the records that they have put out have just been fantastic. The pressings are done at Pallas, which is a pressing plant in Germany. Right. And, in my opinion, Pallas is probably the best plant on the planet in terms of pressing quality. And then this was mastered by the Carvey Group, and they do a wonderful job. You mentioned the Tales from the Dead Wax series about mastering engineers. It's a group that eventually I would like to cover, but the music is just fantastic. I mean, they do Soul Train. They do Little Bee's Poem by Bobby Hutcherson, Turquoise Twice by Cedar Walton. So some fairly well-known tunes, but I mean, they were after that Blue Note sound. And so, yeah, anything that you see on the BBE label, definitely go for it. It's worthwhile.
Are you getting these from an American distributor, or are you ordering them directly from Japan?
So no, this one I got from the UK. But I think there are a couple of American distributors that are carrying it. So I want to say that Forced Exposure, which is East Coast distributor, is getting a lot of imports, and I'm pretty sure they got this one.
Okay.
And plus, they also put this one out on CD. So, you know, I am not hard over on, you know, fully analog. I will go after digital as well. So, yeah, if you don't want to pay for the vinyl, you can get it on CD.
But it looks so damn beautiful, doesn't it?
I know.
I'm there. I'm there. Again, as you know, I'm not a vinyl. I mean, vinyl's my primary listening when I'm sitting and really paying attention. In the background, I have my CDs. I have them all on a hard drives. So throughout the house when I'm doing things, it's beautiful.
Right.
It's perfect for that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'm going. I watched a documentary on Apple TV just a couple of nights ago, and it's the Beastie Boys story. And I hadn't. I followed the Beastie Boys a little bit. I kind of missed that whole thing a little bit, only because it was the time I was raising my son, and I was buying CDs. Although I did get Licensed to Ill and Paul's Boutique, which is an appropriate thing there, which one of those albums again that sort of didn't die, but it wasn't really popular initially, then became this great
yeah, it's an essential
album of all, exactly, like Velvet Underground's first album and so many others albums that become these you know, wonderful records beyond that. The interesting was the documentary is directed by Spike Jonze, the director I really like. He did Being John Malkovich and several other kind of artsy films that or not Paul Kaufman, I forget the writer's name, wrote.
Yeah.
And this is a live filmed performance, and it's a performance with the remaining two living members of the Beastie Boys, Mikey D and Adam Horowitz.
Yeah, Adam Horowitz. Yeah.
The two Jews blues guys. And I just loved it. It's them talking with a live audience, and there's film clips and everything. It's done from their point of view. It's touching, a little, some of it's a little schmaltzy, but it's really good. And I learned a lot more than I didn't. So two of the records that I picked up since that show, I got. And one of them, I remember seeing in the stores when it came out, and the reissue a few years ago, is this. And to me, this seems like a Paul BarakaPDub type of record.
It is.
And I'm a big fan of lounge music. I'm a big fan of chill, of that sort of electronic fusion. What this reminded me of, and I had heard pieces of it, but my friend the archivist had it and played it for me, and I said, oh, I got to order this.
Yeah.
Exactly what I would expect it to be looking at the cover. It looks like sort of a French 60s, 70s soundtrack thing. It also reminded me of Introducing by DJ Shadow, even though that's, I don't know, 8 years after this or a decade after this. I'm not quite sure. This is from 95, 96 or so. And it's all instrumentals. It's, so it's, anything you want to say about this? Chime in about this?
No. So in my opinion, that was a underappreciated album at the time. And that's the thing about the Beastie Boys is, you know, I'd say after Licensed to Ill, people kind of wrote them off. And then Paul's Boutique came out, and, you know, that didn't take off either, but, you know, they kind of went their own way.
Yeah.
And they did what they were interested in. And that's what made them so great compared to a lot of the hip hop acts at the same time, because no one from that decade really stayed, and they were ones that actually translated from decade to decade.
And they did some different things. I didn't know the whole thing about the one who died, who was really followed Tibetan music, and Dalai Lama. I actually picked this up. I'm not going to talk about it, but I haven't listened to this yet. But I'm on a roll right now. Of course, you know how it is. You get turned into something. But I really suggest people watch that documentary. It's right now. It's only on Apple TV. You can get a free week of Apple TV. Otherwise, it's $5 a month.
I need to do that because I have Apple TV too, and that's the only way I really watch television right now.
It's worth it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's something that got me into it. So of course, you know, it's easy. You're sitting in your phone and you click buy, and it shows up a couple days later. And what's nice about it, up here, there's several record stores. One just in Tacoma, south of me. high voltage, and literally they ship that day, you get it the next day, free shipping. And I kind of like the idea again of supporting my locals, that and Easy Street Records, which is basically Pearl Jam's home team record store in West Seattle. So I kind of pull back, obviously, from Amazon for a lot of reasons, and also they're delaying the shipments of their product, again, for a good reason, because it's not a priority. So Beastie Boys is my opening act.
All right. So, lately in the past couple of years, I've been getting fascinated with desert rock from the Sahara region. And one of the bands I just discovered was Tamo Tayet, or Tamacrest, and this is their album Tamo Tayet. So they're from Morocco, and this is a brand new release. So, people are very familiar with Tenarouin, which is the Algerian band, which, is a lot of people's introduction to the Saharan rock scene. And of course, Tenarouin is from Algeria, if I remember correctly. And then another big one is Modou Mokhtar, which I've noticed a lot of people in the VC have been picking up Modou Mokhtar's album. But yeah, this came out, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I recommend sampling it online, and they got different singers. In fact, there's a female singer. I can't remember her name. She kind of guests on here, but they don't have her photograph. But the song that they have her on is just fantastic. And so, yeah, you got the African blues scene going on. So it's just a wonderful album. Definitely worth sampling. You can find it on Bandcamp. Sample it on Bandcamp if you're curious.
Bandcamp's been the great savior of musicians in some ways, and
yeah,
it was a little more direct to them somewhat. And I've just experienced some great things. Everything I ordered through that, even though they're separate entities and independent entities. I'm going to go into an album from a label that you and I think have traded discussions on, and a handful of people here that I've fell in love with over the last 2 years because of African Scream Contest. And that,
okay.
yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Analogue Africa out of Germany, a great label with a lot of, this album. Renewal from, and I got, this came out I think I got it 6 weeks ago, but it's in my last pretty much 10, might have been fibbed a little bit, but it's the 10 of the 10 I picked. Renewal is this interesting guy from Peru, guitar player. This is all instrumental except for 2 tracks. There's vocals on 2 tracks. It's a lot of almost like surfy, tinny electric guitar, but in that South American Peruvian rhythmic way. So it's not, surf tunes like you'd expect from the Safaris or the Ventures or anything like that. It's got that great kind of rhythm and just very danceable and very, again, primitive in the way like the African Scream Contest records that you just want to jump. And they're not high-end audiophile recordings.
Yeah.
Reading the whole article, these great stories of the producer or the person who bought the rights to this, finally gets introduced to him, and he started his own label. He put it out. He goes into this 4-story building that Renewal owned and lived in, and goes upstairs, and it's one of those hottest days with a aluminum roof that's just boiling with thousands of records there. And he went through the records, and he wanted to license some of the records for Analogue Productions, and they worked out some deal. And it's fascinating, the story of how Renewal ended up just trusting him. He didn't say what he paid or anything. Who cares? But that's a good deal. I trust you. You followed up. You came here on time, and I'm going to license you the music. And I hope they do more of these.
Yeah, I know. One of the things that I love about that label is that even though they're Analogue Africa, like I'd say that the last 4 or 5 releases have all been from South America, and they've all been wonderful. I sampled that one, and it was on my want list. But again, there's like only so many records you can buy, and yeah, they put out great quality product.
I just ordered another one about a week and a half ago, and I don't remember what it is. It was like the next, I'm on the Bandcamp mailing list for Analog Africa, so
Yeah.
if there's vinyl there, I push buy, and
Yeah.
they're not that outrageous. I mean, they're like $35 maybe,
Yeah.
$40 by the time they're shipped or something. Which, these days for a brand new album and supporting the cause, I'd rather support this than there are some
Yeah.
albums here that you might question I'm supporting, but
Yeah.
we'll take it from
But
there.
I want to say they're based out of Germany, and so I've ordered a couple of albums out of Germany, and I guess I don't know, maybe you experienced this too, but there are some countries that can't ship to the United States now.
Well, what was interesting, that's a good question. And I thought about that. And what was strange about this, when I ordered this, it came like within 5 days, and which surprised me, this particular one, not other past orders.
Okay.
And I always wonder if they had some local. I don't remember.
Maybe.
I don't recall seeing an importing, shipment on it. Now I don't remember, but it was really fast. And because I order these kind of things, and like all of a sudden I forget about it, and 6 weeks later, 2 months later, it shows up. So
I'm gonna have to go back and sample that one again, based on your recommendation.
Yeah, it's a groove. When do you have time now that you're working home and when do you have time to listen to these things?
Yeah, well, that's my problem. And so like, my family's here with me, and normally I would get the occasional day where I'm all by myself in my house, and that was my time for vinyl. And now it's like I'm mostly listening to digital on my headphones, because we're all kind of in the house, and the way my home is fairly open. I mean, only the bedrooms are the ones with the doors, and you can really seal yourself off. So yeah, the vinyl is going to be put on hold for a while. So I'm amassing the stuff that I just can't listen to. It's kind of sad, maybe.
And now an episode of Hoarders with BarakaPDub. It's funny when you're doing this, when I always point the first couple of videos, I go like this because I'm on the right side of the screen, but obviously you're at this side.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn.
All right. So another label that I've been getting into recently is an ambient drone-based label out of Indianapolis, and they're past and present. And they put out this artist called From Overseas, and this is the album Home. And it's basically a guy, I want to say he has a Fender, and he's running it through all these effects, and his name is Kevin Siri. And there's a whole video of him playing his guitar with a small amp on top of this, I think it's a volcano. And, it's all ambient. Yeah, it's all ambient guitar music. And, I have a ton of ambient stuff. I don't feature it a lot because I don't know what the appeal is, but, I like a lot of ambient drone records. But the thing is like some of them are a dime a dozen. And then there's others that are just fantastic.
Do them for you, show them for you, because then people get turned on to them. I mean, you have a lot of stuff. You have some things that I'm going to talk about later, or not just because, and I always think, really, Paul likes that? He's such a dance whore. All this upbeat dance music. I'm thinking that's always surprising. And I'm saying that in a lovingly way.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, he's a disco boy.
Don't worry, that's coming.
I'm sure it is.
I'm all over the map in terms of what I like. I'd say, I'd say the only two exceptions are probably modern day hip hop, but there's some exceptions to that. And then I'm not a big fan of modern country, but again, there's exceptions there too. But I mean, I would say I really like the country that was made before 1980 or so.
Yeah.
But I like Dwight Yoakam, for example, and I'd be happy to get another Dwight Yoakam record.
Yeah. Well, there are exceptions now. We'll get there.
All right.
Is that it? Oh.
Yep, that's it.
I think around the same time that I found your channel, the other person that I found on the tail end of his career, and I miss him dearly, even though he's now with the Music Direct or Teddy.
Oh, Analogue Productions, Teddy. Eat, Sleep, Fun.
And, Teddy, low-key, but again, professorial, and I love the way he presents his records. And to me, he's like the hypnotic salesman. And I mean that, right? He's not over the top like Mazzy here. people don't like when I talk about myself in the third person, but I bought this because of Teddy.
Yeah.
I would have bought it anyway once I saw the listing and getting it from Analog Productions. And what this is 1941-42 Library of Congress recordings of the complete recordings, which is not a lot, but of Muddy Waters. And if the archivist, the musicologist, Alan Lomax, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
People should research Alan Lomax, where he went on the road and basically discovered music in America, roots music, blues, country, had his truck, tricked out as a recording place and recorded this amazing record. Analog Productions, obviously, they took an original copy from a collector, and on the video, I think the video Teddy actually puts together, or at least one of them, it talks to the guy that had the collector edition, and they reproduced the linen cover, and it's not a hi-fi recording, but it's a wonderful historic recording. And I can't recommend this more. If you like Muddy Waters, you like roots music, it's just a good feel. And in between, you hear the clips of Alan Lomax talking to Muddy Waters a little bit in between the stuff. And to me, these kind of things are just precious. And so, of course, I had to get it. And actually, considering what it wasn't, I can't remember how much it cost, but it wasn't outrageous. It's not like one of the one-step things that are $150.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the first 1,000 are numbered. I'm number 915, but they never settle them in order. But I don't really care. No. I never really care what number I get. That's the thing.
No. Yeah, and it's funny. I saw that same video, and then I saw Jeff Kempen show it. And after I saw Jeff Kempen, I traded a message with Jeff Kempen, and I'm like, okay, you sold me on it. Teddy does a very good job in and of himself. I mean, he sold me on the Janos Starker box set, and I already had the Speaker's Corner edition of that.
He got me into Medford, the piano player from San Francisco, this woman, Marla, and I forget her first name now, who I heard of, but I didn't really know much about it. She teaches at UC Berkeley, and that was his #1 album of, I guess, 2018 on the vinyl tag. And the way he talked about it, I think he might have played a clip. I just ordered it. Then I went back, I think, through Bandcamp and ordered her album before that. And it's modern. I don't want to say it's modern jazz because it's now, but it's not out there, but beautiful. It's in a way what I wish, well, in the 70s, what Keith Jarrett was doing with his Cologne concert and that, but done with a trio now and different. It's different, but that's the only thing I can compare it to in this aurals, the sound of the piano on it.
Yeah.
All right.
So here's your dance. Well, I wouldn't call it dance, but it has an electronic feel.
Your dance, not mine.
Okay. So this is I Monster, Never Odd or Even. And so I want to make sure I'm not getting any glare there from the window, but this is Never Odd or Even. This came out, I would say, probably around 2004, 2005. And they reissued it a couple of years ago, and I just happened upon it, and I was so happy that they reissued it. But the graphic there, it sounds just like it looks here. So it's a nice melange of different styles. So they're sampling like 60s pop choir records and, putting it through heavy distortion and warping and each song from song to song, it's like a different style. Of course, you got the electronic vein as the underlying theme behind it. But yeah, it's okay. For me, it's an enjoyable record. And, they used it on the show iRobot. So they used one of the tracks from this album on the show iRobot. And yeah, it's a band that I've been getting into recently. So I'm happy I picked it up because some of the earlier issues, they go for a few bucks.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the cover. Beautiful cover. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they have, I want to say 6 or 7 albums out, and I think this was their second album. And the original graphic was wonderful because it had a skull with naked ladies coming out of the eye sockets, but they didn't decide to reuse it for the vinyl reissue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, since you said melange in that record, I got to say it for this, just because I want to use. This is a melange of a hybrid of freak folk and hip hop and trip hop and psychedelic and opera. And I know you inboxed me about this on something I talked about, and this is the latest album by Rossi. And I think you asked about it. Made a comment.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Now, this is their new record, and I got turned on to them in the mid 2000s to late 2000s. Two sisters, Americans, raised separately by separate parents, as I recall, re-meet again in Paris and start this band, this group, this musical collaboration. I don't remember their names, but the taller one, trained opera singer, so she goes in these operatic voices. If you remember, you've seen the movie. What's the French movie with Bruce Willis? The space movie.
Oh,
Mila Jovovich, and there was that opera singer with the woman opera singer. Not unlike that, with beats and things. I saw them twice at the Great American Music Hall in the late 2000s, and they had a drummer. They do beat machines. They do tape loops. One has the shorter daughter. I hate to describe him that way. Has almost like this cartoony kind of voice, pitch, and they do. Their other albums are really little, again, freak folk, psychedelic, really cool, amazing, artsy, avant-garde. This album came out, the first time I played, it's 2 records. First time I played it, I heard one song only, and the song, there's a video on YouTube of them in like an old roller skating, like a 60s, 70s, almost like, the ELO, Olivia Newton-John roller skating movie.
Oh, yeah, I know the one you're talking
and
about.
It's very dancey disco. That's why I thought you might like this one. There's a dance thing to it. And I was a little disappointed because I like the more wilder stuff. This seemed a little more commercial. But so I put it down for about 2 weeks, and I hadn't listened to the last record. So 5 days ago, I put on this, and then side 2, and I perked my ears up. Side 4, actually. I played side 4 3 times in a row, and I fell in love with it. Finally, it hit me. It gets into these beat things, and it goes into something else. It slows into an operatic trance in a way. There's a little of trance music in here. Again, when I pulled this one, I thought of you because you're the dance guy. You're the guy that dance thing. And I mean that with all due respect. There's a little fun about, like, I'm that generation that went through the time where, we hated disco.
Yeah, exactly.
Disco came out. We were into the 70s stuff, the Southern California sound, prog stuff. Then punk stuff came along right when disco, like, kill disco, fuck disco, whatever. And of course, I've warmed up to certain parts of that over the years. But it was like the anti thing. Nobody that I knew liked disco, really. We go to dances and things, but this is a cool record. These sisters are wild. They're very androgynous. I think I did this on a Music Man video of transgender, fusing genders and things. But they're amazing. This isn't a really good record, but it's something that grows on you. You have to like the dance music, upbeat, but it takes a lot of interesting twists. You should sample it. Look for the video.
No, absolutely. No, the cover is something that would immediately entice me to check it out, for sure. All right. So the next one I'm going to show was from another. They typically do reissues, and they've been doing a lot of Brazilian reissues too, but they occasionally put out a modern artist, and this is Kit Sebastian. So this is Kit Martin, and I can't remember her name. She's actually from Turkey, and so this has got this good 60s psych feel. So it's really like pop psych, but what's wonderful is he'll sing most of his stuff in English, and then she follows up in Turkish.
Wow.
So it's very unique, and I found this album to be very, very enjoyable.
Is this a new recording or is it a reissue?
Yeah, this, I think it was dropped right around the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you discover this?
So in the evening, so it usually hits me on Thursday. So Juno or Uno in the UK. So I signed up for their mailing list, and you can do it very genre specific. And so Thursday is when they flood your inbox with all the new releases that they've got. And why I like them the best is because everything that they have, you can sample online for the most part. So, Thursday night for me, I spend like an hour just sampling new music and then trying to figure out, hey, what album do I want to pick up this week? And, this just happened to be one of them. And I mean, even shipping from the UK, they're really pretty reasonable.
So Thursday night is Paul's dance party in the Houston household in the BarakaPDub.
Yeah, or ambient drone, depressing music that my wife just hates.
Does she listen to music? I mean,
Well, no. So yeah.
I won't get personal. I'm just curious.
No. So she likes the dance pop stuff, like the J-Los, but yeah, everything else I listen to, she's like, nah.
Is your Riga in a common place, or is it a?
Yeah, it's in my living room.
Yeah. Same with me, right?
So you don't see it from the shots, but I got like a television right above it.
Well, I do too. You've seen mine, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those purists that I make a blanket over the TV. It's in my open space with the kitchen and everything, so it's not an audio file like where I am now. I'm in my office that's carpeted. There's a drum set here. My CDs are here. I got these vintage JBL L100s from the 70s that are refurbished, and actually sounds pretty great. I know a lot of audiophiles hate these things, except they seem to like the new ones. They're the updated ones. But I play CDs in. I don't play records. I have an old dual turntable that I had from the 80s, and I never play vinyl down here. This is my digital room.
Yeah.
And it works good because digital to some people tends to be a little more, I just say brittle, not always. And this room is a dead room. So it makes up for upstairs. It's more a liver room, and I like it. My next one is I'm going for the home team since I've been in Seattle for 6 years, and now I'm going for just rock and roll classics. And I've never been a huge Pearl Jam fan, but I never disliked them. The only records I bought 10 when it came out. I like Jeremy, that song, but on CD, never vinyl. I got into them. I did get Neil Young's Mirrorball both on vinyl and CD because I'm a Neil Young completist more or less. And I really liked Eddie Vedder's stuff he did, like on the Dead Men Walking soundtrack.
Oh yeah, that yeah. I used to spin that nonstop.
Right, that stuff is amazing. So, but being up here, I've been in Seattle now 6 years after life in San Francisco that I've ad nauseum talk about in my videos. But this is the home team. This is like, the Mariners are a shitty baseball team. You got the Seahawks, you got the Space Needle, and you got Pearl Jam. And one of my regular record stores in West Seattle is Easy Street, and half the band lives there, and they always have the Live at Easy Street. They've done live things there.
Yeah.
And I love this cover. And I heard the track that was leaked early, or they dropped early, which sounds like the friggin' Talking Heads. Sounds like David Byrne.
I know. So
and I loved it.
I'm curious, honestly, what do you think of that entire album? I picked it up on CD.
Okay. I played it once and I loved that track. And I was really expecting to be disappointed because I'm not a huge Pearl Jam fan. I'm not a huge Eddie Vedder fan. The whole grunge thing is beyond me. And we're such a small town in Seattle in so many ways. I forgot to throw in Jeff Bezos is here too. And, but I played the whole thing through really loud once. And sometimes when I have the chance, I'm in a house and I have no common walls with neighbors, and I can crank it. And I cranked this thing, and it's my channel. I fucking loved it. And I really I've heard it only about 4 times all the way through. I thought it would take a while, and I put it on the shelf, and I thought, am I just getting it because it's a home team and there's beautiful book and beautiful artwork, and you know how that is sometimes.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, there's certain bands you get into. I
yeah.
was
So
pleasantly surprised. There's some, you know, I don't know it really well yet, but Four Times is a good sense. I think the record sounds good. You know, I don't know who mastered. Oh, I actually, maybe Ludwig did. No, not Ludwig. I don't. I'm not going to pull out the Dead Wax right now. And
no,
just
it's all right.
think.
Yeah, no. So
I do like it, and I don't have, except for Unplugged and the live
yeah.
at Easy Street, I don't have any other records on vinyl. So it's probably
Okay,
not the
so
first one to get, but it worked for me.
yeah, so I am. You know those bands where you stick with them even though you may not agree with, you know, their latest output.
Yeah,
So
I
Pearl
know
Jam
that.
is one of those bands for me. And you know, I initially, yeah, I heard 10, I heard Versus. I didn't really get into them until Vitology came out, and then it was like listening to them in reverse. And I really, really loved them all the way up until probably Binaural. And I have all their output. I have just about everything on vinyl. I didn't pick that one up because I feel I probably need to go back and listen to it some more. But ever since the one with the avocado on the cover,
I don't even know that album.
I just feel like they've lost their mojo.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say because I have nothing to compare to, because I'm not a Pearl Jam fan. Out of the whole grunge scene, I mean,
Yeah.
again, up here, it's shoved in your face still all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I think on CD I bought the first Soundgarden, and then I left that. I did like Nirvana, and they're, you know, and
Yeah, yeah.
you know, I got a little bit into Mudhoney and that kind of stuff, but they were more punky to me in a way, or more rock and roll or something. I didn't like that kind of vocals, but I do like, and I showed it on a video recently that I only got into a few years ago, is Mad Season.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God, I missed that, and I think it's a great record.
Yeah. Actually, you know, Alice in Chains is just wonderful. So in Alice in Chains, they did their heavy album and then they did a full acoustic album. So they went back and forth.
I have no idea. I
And
had no idea.
if you can grab Jar of Flies, for example, if you like
Literally,
Mad
or
Season,
an album cover, or like a jar of flies.
so that's the name of the album by Alice in
That was
Chains.
my joke. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Go for Jar of Flies or Sap or Unplugged.
What about Murderous Hornets from wherever they're? Sorry, I couldn't be totally serious with you. I am listening. I apologize.
All right, you're right. So yeah, we don't want to be serious, right? So the next one I'm going to show is Matsumi.
Ooh, that's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, and I'm just happy this was pressed on vinyl. You know, I did my Oddity series. This is like a future Oddity. So this is like
Is that retouched, or she looks like a cat face there, or is that just a?
no, this is the way she looks, and so it has this nice spot varnish on the photograph. But
Yeah.
so I don't know how well some of these titles are going to come out, but yeah, I like No More Fake Tits. And Did You Just Grab My Butt?
You can't say that on my channel, Paul. I'm sorry.
I'm
gonna
sorry.
have to bleep. That'll be bleeped out. So.
And then Collage Panty Smelling. Yeah, so the titles say it all. And so it's like, you know, Yoko Ono, but yeah, she's not taking it very
I'm a
seriously.
fan of Yoko's, yeah. That reminds me, I have a record that's only been through you and through Bill DeVerne. I still haven't listened to the Anal Touch record yet.
Okay, so you mentioned Teddy, Eat Sleep Vinyl, and before that his channel was Vinyliciousness. He's the one that started everybody off on that. So
I gotta listen to that and get it out of the house. I might be rated or something. I'm afraid.
Yeah, so Teddy had this goal of, he was trying to send that record to different VC members, get it signed, and then get it back to Derek Higgins. Because Derek Higgins, you know, if you can find the old video where he talked about it, because Derek Higgins was.
I did watch that after. I did watch that video.
everybody, that just went on this huge thread, and everybody was just talking about it. And so I wanted to revive what Teddy had started.
Well, I've been bogarting it for the last 3 months. I need to get it out of here. So I will do that in the next week. I feel guilty now.
No, but it's an interesting listen.
Okay, again, another stalwart fan that I follow that people like hate this guy now in some ways because of his personal politics. I don't want to say that I do not, that politics get in the way, but I hate to say it, they do most of the time with an artist, especially one. Like, I will not have a Ted Nugent album in my house, but that's a whole other thing, or a Kid Rock, but that's just me. But this guy's the biggest wanker, but I still think his voice sounds great.
Yeah.
His stupid things, and he makes great records. This is a really good record with the worst cover that's come out in years, and that's Morrissey.
Oh yeah.
What a this looks like one of those reissues that some like label got the rights to and put it out. Horrible record. Great music. If you like Morrissey, if you like the
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, it sounds great. I like his band. His last few records I really like. He's been playing with these Spanish musicians, and so they has a little Latin flair, little you know, well, Spanish flair, and it's really good. The guitar playing and the music and the production. And anyway, recorded in Europe, in France, maybe. I don't remember. But
so curious, have you always been a follower of Morrissey?
Yes,
I mean, even after the Smiths, when
yes, yeah, I'm a first generation Smith person. I got a promo of their first album, the one with the Joe DeLisandro Warhol guy cover chest. And but funny, it wasn't the singles that I heard. The opening track on that "Reel Around the Fountain" with just the drums, the dirgy thing. I fell in love with. I remember having, I guess it must have been a cassette of that, and I played it in my car. And I would get I have this friend that I've known since we were each other's first date. Her name was Karen, and I took her on the ride to Coit Tower, and we were just good friends. I said, "You got to listen to this record." It was that time, so I was in my late 20s, I guess, still. And I said, "You got to listen to this record," you know. And I played that song, and she likes it because she's always talking about death and how to kill her old boyfriends, and so slap me on the patio and that whole thing. Yeah, and then after that, I got into. I mean, I love the album. Is that the first or second of his albums with Sundays? Every Day's Like Sunday. Is that Viva Hate? I don't remember. I don't remember the names of them, but I bought them all, and then I bought them all on CDs. And I have all the 12-inch UK Smiths and Morrissey 12-inch vinyl sleeves with all the cover artists because I love the artwork. So yeah, big time.
And they all have all unique writings in the Dead Wax too.
Oh right. I forgot about that. I didn't even look on this one, but while you're showing the next album, maybe I'll look at that. So anyway, I love the record.
So on that topic though, it's like, I discovered the Smiths through Morrissey's solo career.
So you went backwards.
Yeah, I went backwards because it wasn't until the 90s until I really got into music. But the next one I got to show is the Psychic Ills. And they are based out of New York. And it's two people basically, but they've had different incarnations of the band. But Trez Warren and Elizabeth Hart. And Trez Warren, the guitarist, passed away last month. Ooh. And so, yeah, I didn't discover this album until last month, as a matter of fact. But Mazzy Star, Hope Sandoval is featured on this record.
Yeah.
And, it's psychedelic folk.
When is this recorded?
This was recorded, I think, in 2016.
Wow. Okay, I need to
look.
And so
after the Trez Warren died, Sacred Bones got on Bandcamp and was like trying to push the material out just in honor of him. And I just happened to find it, and I was like, well, where was this band all my life?
Is that hard to get?
No, it's pretty easy to get. I highly recommend this one. I think you would really enjoy this.
Sounds like my wheelhouse here.
Yeah. No, this is worth your time, Mazzy.
But I can't dance to it, right?
No, yeah, I'm not sure if I even have any more dance records, to be quite honest.
That's okay.
Yeah, I've been on a huge psych jazz kick the past couple months.
If you've watched my channel a few times, you watch at least more than one of my videos. I like to beat a dead horse when it comes to the humor. Like if I have to listen to Phil Collins and Genesis because of, actually I like I like Peter Gabriel. So.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going with some Psychedelic.
Okay.
This album.
Oh
This
yeah.
is Dream Syndicate. I've been a fan of theirs since I saw them live. Days of Wine and Roses, I saw them the Warfield in San Francisco with my buddy Brooks, Jazz Shit Brooks. We saw them, whatever that was, 84, 85, I don't know, whenever that first album came out. And I loved them, the old long guitar solos and stuff. They obviously haven't been around for years, for decades, really. Musicians doing projects. And then 3-4 years ago, they came back, got back together. I think all the original members except for one, as I recall, and did an album. This is their third new album since that time. They've done 3, and each one gets better. This one's more jammy. It's a double record called "The Universe Inside." Side 1 again is all one song, and side 3 and 4 is one song. Jammy, electric. I mean, there we go.
Yeah, I know. I saw Steve Carlson show that, I think, a couple weeks back.
Well, him and I are really a big fan of this, and the other one that the Dave Alvin project, which he did with Jesse Sykes from the Sweet Hereafter, and they do a cover of East West, the great Paul Butterfield blues band. Eastern Jam is very psychedelic, but I'm really a fan of this kind of, I don't want to say new psychedelic, it hasn't really gone away, but these bands that are doing it, it's jammy. What's great about the other one, I almost pulled the other one, but it was out of my 10 album thing, but I almost showed them together, because to me, in a way, they're like companion pieces, because that one, the whole idea of that, he wanted to do what Teo Maceo used to do with Miles Davis, with Bitches Brew and with the live album at Fillmore, where it record a lot of jamming, and Teo would just really cut it together and make records of the recordings. And that's kind of what these kind of two things are, like that psychedelic, reverby, fuzz guitar kind of stuff. And they turn into songs, almost seem like they might somewhat a bit improvised. Probably they had seeds of ideas and they went with them. A beautiful package, obviously, on Anti Records, and one of my favorites of the year. And it's kind of like Neil Young Crazy Horse stuff.
So it's on Anti?
On Anti.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You've sold me on it.
Yeah, and listen to the other one. The I'm blanking on the name of it. It's the Phil Alvin project he did, Magnetic something or other. I forgot.
Yeah. Okay.
They're kind of, and if you like that, I don't know if you're into that, but it's like,
oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It's like one of my favorite of the later period Neil Young records is Psychedelic Pill, and he goes on and he just jams it out. And it's not for everybody, but he just kind of, the jammy stuff for like a whole side of a record, repetitive over and over.
Yeah, and for me, I do enjoy that Neil Young album. It's great.
Okay.
All right, so next one for me is, so before I show it, you bought the Light in the Attic AOR City Pop from Japan compilation, right?
Yes. With the
Did you get the second one? Did you put the second one on order?
I didn't know there was a second one.
There is a second one coming out, and they just happen to feature a track by this group. This is the Mystery Kindiachi Band.
That's a great cover. I'd buy that just for the cover.
So this is another one and done album, but it's original presses just go for an insane amount of money. But this is, so it came out in the disco era, so it has that tinge, but don't let that deter you. There's elements of funk, library music, jazz. And I just love it.
What? Okay, excuse my ignorance. What's library music aside from? It's like, is that 1 minute of silence or John Cage?
No. So library music, and it wasn't a big thing here. Capitol Records actually did a little bit of it in the 60s, but it was really European composers.
Oh, Okay.
Yeah. And
Like
so
literally library that they would use
yeah,
like
it's
stock
stock
photography,
music for films
like
and
stock photography, right? Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was a genre that I missed, like,
No. So yeah, no, but that's another thing that I've actually picked up about a dozen library records since the beginning of the year. So uh, one of my favorite composers is Jenko Milovic, who's a French library music composer. I got one of his albums on order. It's a repress because originals for library music, they just go for insane amount of money if they're good.
there was that the Mango album that came out last year that I got. I forgot what label it's on. Beautiful recording, beautiful. I featured it at one point. And what it was is music that he wrote for commercials and films, like stock photography, same kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, now
yeah.
I get it. Okay.
So Light Nag is putting out a second AOR City Pop from Japan, and they happen to feature one track from this album.
Okay.
So yeah, it's another one to grab, Mazzy, since you got the first one, and I think you mentioned you enjoyed it.
I did. Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
it's dancey shit that I didn't expect it to be so dancey. And
yeah,
I mean that with all due respect.
yeah.
You got to be in the mood, in the party mood for that. So, okay. I think I have two or three more depending on, is that what you have? Two more, three more?
I got two more, and you said save the best for last. Our favorite.
Oh, that's right. And I actually did because, well, you'll see why. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going with Lucinda Williams. I'm a big Lucinda Williams fan. I didn't get into her on, she, like in the late 80s, she did these albums on the traditional label, I'm blanking out, Folkways. Didn't get into that, but I got into her. A friend of mine turned me on to the one with the white cover. I don't remember the name of it, but the one that is considered her best album in '98, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road. Great record, alt country, that Austin Southern sound, rock and roll. What I always compare it to, because every album, every additional album, I've been buying all her albums now for the last 15, maybe 20 years, 15 years, and or maybe since Car Wheels, so 20 years. Every record she gets, it sounds like she adds more marbles to her mouth.
Yeah, I know. She has a unique voice.
To me, she's a little bit of the Keith Richards of
Yeah,
women
yeah,
singers. Her records are sloppy, dirgy, but they sound really good.
yeah.
And it's got jammy. I think on not, I don't know if it's this one or the one before it. Not John Zorn. The guitar player who did that space covered album of Bill Frisell, I think.
Oh, okay.
Plays on it, has played with her, which
Yeah,
seems surprisingly the kind of music she does. But great band. I don't have. I wish it came out on vinyl. Maybe it did at a short time. There's a live at the Fillmore record. I went to one of the shows. She played maybe 3 or 4 nights at the Fillmore in San Francisco. Great record. But what's great about this, and I don't know if it's always going to be like this. The 2-record LP, the side 4 are 4, 5 acoustic demos that were made for this. So it's very kind of just a folk record. So she's folk, country, little psychedelic, but in that country jammy thing. Again,
yeah,
not like Crazy Horse, but I love her voice. But some people lately I've been reading, get turned off that every additional record, you don't know what the fuck she's saying. It's garbled,
yeah,
but it's great.
yeah. So yeah, she's one of those ones that's an acquired taste. So it's like Tom Waits.
Yep.
I mean, I love Tom Waits, but like if I put a Tom Waits record on in my house, my wife just starts to cringe and wants to leave.
You're lucky you don't into Yoko Ono like I am. So there you go. I love Yoko, but I get it. All right.
All right. So the next one I got is neoclassical, and this is Emeka. She is from the UK, but I think she's based out of Berlin. And so this is basically, I want to say 14 different, it's sort of like piano sonatas. But I really like the way she's recorded this album because it's very cavernous, the room that she's in, and she's using her sustain pedal quite a bit, and just a wonderful effect. Now, she's pretty prolific. In fact, she dropped an album, I think, 7 days ago, which is all electronic, but I prefer the piano neoclassical stuff that she's putting out, and this is just a fantastic album. And yeah, you're good about actually showing the vinyl. And I haven't had the time to clean some of this up, but this is all on white
Nice.
wax, which I'm not a fan of because you can't see if it's dirty.
Right. Yeah,
But,
I don't seek out colored vinyl, but I'm not against it. But I'm one of those people that I think they don't sound any worse than black if you can see what they are. You know, if it's a good pressing, good vinyl, it doesn't matter. But that's just my opinion, my experience. So.
Yep, I agree completely.
I got two more. I'm going to say the last one is the best one. But before that, again, a group that I didn't really get into a lot initially, but it's the new album by the Stokes. I like the Stokes.
Oh, yeah.
New York kind of way past post-punk, the new punk, I guess. Was it the late 90s, 2000, early 2000s, their first?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah, I didn't follow them a lot. I got this, I'm probably a little like you. I'm an art freak and cover freak. I love modern art. And this is a painting by Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Yeah, okay.
Great painter, African-American artist who died young, a protege of Warhol, Castelli Galleries in New York. There's a great film, not a documentary, a docudrama based on
I saw that.
Yeah, it's
and it
great.
had Courtney Love in it too, doesn't she?
Pardon me?
Doesn't that Courtney Love plays Madonna?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think Bowie plays Warhol, and it's the actor, I'm forgetting, a great actor who's in the new version of on HBO of Westworld, the African-American actor, and we played Basquiat. Anyway, I got this because I heard, actually on NPR, I heard several cuts and I really liked it. It's more low key in a way which suited me fine right now. And I'm a big fan still of Rick Rubin's production. Some people don't like it. He gets, he basically resurrected, saved Johnny Cash's career. He did the first Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys, yeah.
Yeah, hip hop out of his college dorm. He's done some really interesting things, in my opinion. Some people think he sucks the life out of some of these artists. I think he lets them record what they record. I've only listened to it twice. I enjoy it. I don't know any more about it really to say, but of course I love the packaging and this own plastic sleeve and beautiful artwork, and just love RCA Records. But
yeah, I'm gonna have to go and take a look at that because I have a couple of Stokes records, but it's from the when they started to break it big, and I haven't really listened to them since.
Right, and I get that. Yeah. That sometimes that's a whole another discussion I won't dwell on, but there are some bands that I've picked up because of this packaging, or on a whim. I'm in records again, vinyls after a 15-year hiatus at some point, and I'll get it and I realize I'm buying this brand new record, but they had like 3 amazing records I don't have on vinyl. Why am I buying the new one?
Well, yeah, it's like the
Psychedelic
there. I just showed. It's like, there's always like this immense ocean of artists out there to discover.
It's like Sir Edmund Hillary. Why did you climb the mountain? Because it's there. Because
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this your best?
Probably the record that I've been spinning the most, at least in terms of my most recent pickups, has been this by Ronbin. So they are a Houston-based band. And have you heard any of their stuff? Okay, so
since that's your favorite, I'm going to have to get it now. See, I just
so it's based on Thai funk, and the guitarist Mark Spear, I would say, is probably he's probably one of the top guitarists now, just in terms of what he can do. Now, this album really frustrates me. Because it was one of those Japanese only issues. And so I think the guys in the UK probably had like a limited run, but this is, of course, the only way to get it now is to go through Japan. And they're just a phenomenal group that they incorporate Thai funk. They include a little bit of soul. There's no singing. Well, there's a little bit of singing, but most of it's all instrumental. And just a fascinating, wonderful band that has this very unique sound. And You know, their last record, they took influences from the Middle East. And on this particular record, the reason why I like it is they have a bit of a jam session. And, you know, I mentioned to you, I'm not big into hip hop, but they have in their jam session, they're taking breaks from all these hip hop songs. That they're not singing it, but he's playing the breaks on with his guitar, and you recognize them all because it's been on TV.
So he's
and
not
everything.
sampling, he's actually playing.
He's actually playing it on his guitar.
Cool.
Yeah, and he actually, the guitarist Mark Spear taught the bassist how to play her bass, Linda Lee, and you know they've been big on the festival circuit. So yeah, I think they were going to play Lollapalooza, and then you know they played South by Southwest. They played Coachella, so definitely check them out. They're definitely worth the hype.
Okay. My final release is my favorite album of the year, and it hasn't even come out on vinyl yet, but I pre-ordered it. But I downloaded it, and I'm going to show you the download and a record, her previous record that I hadn't gotten, that I just got.
You own Apple? Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Fetch the Bolt Cutters. Now, cranky young woman who I just think is amazing.
Yeah.
Tempestuous. Some of her records remind me of the first John Lennon record. That angst, that pain coming in her music, that soul in her piano playing, and that minimal piano playing. I won't. I'll talk about this record while I show this, because they just announced When the Pawn, the one with the really long name, is being issued by Vinyl Me Please.
Please, yeah.
And I pre-ordered that. Won't be out for a while. But I had to, and the only other one aside from her second one, Extraordinary Machine, is this. And I just ordered this on vinyl, and it just came yesterday. I love this record. This is Idler Wheel. I'm not going to talk about this record. I'm going to talk about the other one, but this begat this. I know the record, but I haven't got it. So it's Finally Pleased as limited editions. I'm not a subscription person really, but if it sells out and you're not a subscriber of it,
yeah,
you're screwed. But they do sell some things. So anyway, this album, recorded at her house, recorded at home. I did on one of my videos, one of my whack-a-moles, did a little intro to this because I fell in love with it. It's been in my car, even though I haven't been in my car, but it's been playing at the house a lot. To me, it's a mix. And we always like to say, what does it sound like? It's a mix of, it's very percussive, a lot of percussion on it. It's a little bit like, if you know the African drummer, Olatunji, Drums of Passion.
Yeah.
It's like a little of that percussive-wise. It's like Paul Simon's Rhythm of the Saints with all these like banging drums. That record, there's so much, South American percussion on that. It's the first John Lennon album thrown in, a little bit of Yoko Ono thrown in, which could turn off some people. And then, of course, John Lennon's Plastic Ono Band. Beautiful record. It seems to me it's a good recording, even though it's recorded at her house. The vinyl's not out yet, so I can't judge on that. But I've been playing this record more than any other record that I've purchased lately, and I don't even have the vinyl. So that says a lot in my house.
Yeah, no. So that's been getting all kinds of critical acclaim, and I'm thinking about picking it up myself. I mean, like you said, she has that angst, and what really makes her so wonderful is that just her creativity and her. So I talked about Pearl Jam losing their mojo. She hasn't lost her mojo.
Well, we're talking 6 albums in 22 years.
Yeah. And, in some cases like that, I'm okay if an artist waits that long. I'm okay if that album is spectacular. Okay, I waited 6 years. You released an awesome album. Thank you. But, if you're putting out crap after crap after crap, it's like, I can't stick with you.
Yeah, there's some artists that I continue to stick with. Neil Young. I like Neil Young, but he can be.
Well, Pearl Jam for me. I mean, I still like the band. I need to listen to Gigaton a little bit more, but for me, it's like I haven't felt that thrill from them in like over a decade.
Yeah. And you may not, you know,
Yeah.
you know how it is. Sometimes you hear something in the moment. I, you know, blasted it on a sunny day in Seattle, which people think is rare. It's not so rare. And it just, it caught my attention, and it caught me in a positive way. Maybe at
Yeah.
any other time it might not have, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, that was long and wonderful. And we didn't talk once about the space program, which that's a whole other story.
I know.
Well,
Yeah. And that's what's keeping me busy.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, hopefully we'll have a launch here on the 27th of May from a SpaceX vehicle launching 2 astronauts from American soil for the first time since the shuttle retired.
So that's Elon Musk's thing. Is that SpaceX, right?
Yeah, that's Musk's company, but you know, NASA is providing oversight.
Got it.
And we're you know, there's a bunch of things that they have to meet, and you know, we're working with them. And what I'm doing now is related to the safety of the space station, and so I got employees that are actually looking at their vehicle and making sure that it's safe to dock to the space station.
Well, I wish you luck and good fortune there. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy, and I've always enjoyed your videos. So I'll just say it internationally: spasiba.
Не страшно.
Пожалуйста.
Yes.
Maslov means butter maker in Russian. I don't know if you knew
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it. But I don't have nothing else to say.
Well, thank you very much.
Paul.
Yeah.
BarakaPDub.
Yes. Thank you.